What you're about to witness happened at 40,000 feet, where one wrong move means no second chances. Stick with me until the end, because what the flight data recorder revealed will change how you see aviation safety forever. Now, if you're watching from Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or anywhere across Australia, this one hits close to home. Routes just like your last Qantas or Virgin Australia flight. Normal departure, normal cruise, normal everything. Until it wasn't. The date was unremarkable, the weather perfect. Not a single cloud between departure and destination. The kind of flight Australians book every single day without a second thought. Cruising altitude established at 40,000 feet. Engines humming within normal parameters. Fuel burn exactly where it should be. The first officer had just completed the standard cross-check systems green. Navigation locked comes crystal clear. Nothing triggered the master caution. Nothing illuminated on the ICA's display. The aircraft was, by every measurable standard, flying exactly as designed. But here's the terrifying thing about modern aviation, and I need you to pay close attention to this part because it could save your understanding of every flight you'll ever take. Not all failures announce themselves. 37 minutes into cruise, something microscopic shifted. The autopilot began trimming the horizontal stabilizer. Not aggressively, not alarmingly, just more frequently than normal. 3 micro adjustments in 90 seconds when typically you'd see maybe 1. The captain noticed first. Experienced pilots develop what we call a spidey sense, that gut feeling when the aircraft doesn't quite feel right, even when every instrument says it's fine. Now, pause right here. This is where so many videos gloss over the most critical moment. Because right now, at this exact point in the actual flight, the crew faced an impossible decision. Do you trust the instruments that show everything normal? Or do you trust the subtle signs your body and experience are telling you? That decision, made in less than 3 seconds, determined whether everyone on board would land safely or become another statistic. And if you think you know how this story ends, I guarantee you don't. Because what the investigation uncovered months later revealed something that every Australian traveler needs to understand. But I'll get to that. First, subscribe to Global Aircraft Studio right now. Hit that bell icon because we break down incidents the mainstream media won't cover in detail like this. You're getting exclusive analysis here that you literally cannot find anywhere else. 20 minutes after those first trim adjustments, the situation escalated. The aircraft began a slow, almost imperceptible roll to the left. Not dramatic, maybe half a degree, but it was persistent. The autopilot was fighting something. The captain disengaged the autopilot. Immediately, the control column required significant force to maintain level flight. This was wrong. At cruise altitude, the aircraft should be perfectly trimmed, hands-off stable. The crew was now manually flying a commercial aircraft at 40,000 feet with abnormal control forces, unclear cause, and 180 souls on board counting on them. Still no warning lights. Still no system flags. This right here is what terrifies even the most seasoned pilots. An unknown failure manifesting through degraded handling characteristics with zero system enunciation. Over the next 12 minutes that the flight data recorder would later show in excruciating detail, the crew worked through every checklist they could think of. Flight control checks, hydraulic system review, electrical bus analysis. Everything read normal, but nothing felt normal. Now we reach the point of no return. Flight level 400, 40,000 feet above the Earth. The margin for error here is razor thin. At this altitude, the difference between controlled flight and an aerodynamic stall can be as little as 15 knots. 15 knots! That's it. The aircraft's behavior continued degrading. The roll tendency increased. The control forces grew heavier. The crew was physically working to keep the aircraft straight and level. This is Coffin's Corner, aviators. High altitude, where the stall speed and maximum speed converge. There is no room. Every input matters. Every second counts. And yet still no failure indication from the aircraft's monitoring systems. The first officer began running the clandestine checklist, the one pilots hope they never need. Emergency descent preparation. Nearest suitable airport identification. Cabin crew alert preparation. Because at this point, they knew. Even without system confirmation, they knew. Something was catastrophically wrong. Months later, the investigation revealed the truth. A hairline crack had developed in a flight control actuator housing. microscopic at first, undetectable during routine inspections, but at altitude, with pressure differentials and temperature variations, that crack propagated. It allowed hydraulic fluid to bypass internal seals. Not enough to trigger the quantity sensors. Not enough to drop system pressure below alert thresholds, but enough to create asymmetric control surface behavior that the aircraft's monitoring logic simply wasn't programmed to detect. The system wasn't broken enough to trigger an alert, but it was broken enough to nearly bring down an aircraft. This is the gap in aviation safety that keeps engineers awake at night. The unknown unknowns. The failures that fall between monitoring parameters. The cracks, literal and figurative, that slip through. The crew landed safely. Their experience, their refusal to ignore what didn't feel right, made the difference. But the investigation concluded that another crew, on another day, with slightly different conditions, the outcome could have been devastating. Now, here's what most channels won't tell you about this incident. The aircraft manufacturer quietly issued a service bulletin 6 months later affecting over 2,400 aircraft worldwide, including dozens operating in Australian airspace right now. The bulletin mandated new inspection protocols specifically targeting this type of failure. But here's the thing, I've got exclusive access to the full incident report, the cockpit voice recorder transcript, and an interview with one of the investigators that has never been published publicly. That video drops next week, only on Global Aircraft Studio, and you're going to want to see it, because what the CVR captured in those critical moments will change everything you think about cockpit resource management under extreme pressure. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. Hit the bell, because algorithms won't show you everything, but your notification bell will. I've got 3 more Australian relevant aviation incidents lined up that directly connect to routes flying over our skies every single day. Stories that matter to you, to your family, to every flight you take out of Perth, Adelaide, Darwin, and the Gold Coast. Drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced something unusual during a flight that turned out to be nothing, or something that turned into a genuine concern? I read every single comment, and your story might feature in a future episode. I'm your host from Global Aircraft Studio, breaking down the incidents that matter to Australian skies. Stay alert, stay informed, and as always, keep your eyes on the horizon.